Hey there. Yeah, so I just finished watching a Orville episode called Mortality Paradox about super advanced beings who basically put humans through hell in a sophisticated simulation in order to kind of feel their fear of mortality. And because he said after you've seen everything and done everything and time has no meaning, all that's left is idle play, which sounds a little bleak maybe, but it's kind of the basis of non-duality, which is there's some super infinite being that has nothing to do but play with itself, because like what else is there to do? And so we're the pawns, or the guests, or the avatars, or the characters, or the beneficiaries of its playing with itself. And I think one of my fears of the whole non-duality thing is maybe all this earnestness, all this devotion, all this I don't know, prostration, or anything really, anything we can do. We're just little worms, little insects, responding to stimuli. And yeah, trying to be earnest, trying to find the truth. I mean, it's adorable, right? And there's somebody kind of watching, snickering, smirking at our adorable little attempts to figure things out and live as well as we can, whatever that means. But of course, I mean, our nature is not, if we're nothing, whatever our nature is, whatever our choices are, we didn't create that. We didn't put any of this interlocking matrix together, much less our little selves. So, what's the point? Some non-dual teachers say the point is to figure out that you can just be happy. Figure out you can enjoy it, you can celebrate it. But why put us through all these paces, these co-created hells? And so many people had so little say, like colonized people, genocided people. They didn't choose to be genocided. They didn't choose for someone to come colonize their land. In fact, it seems to be like shoving it in our face that kindness is stupid and it's just going to get you killed. The people who essentially run our world systems are sociopaths, or if not psychopaths. They wouldn't be able to do what they do if they didn't discount the humanity of so many people. But at the same time, they were born into a system where they're essentially told you have to do that to survive. If you don't do it, someone else will. Or if you don't do it, you're worthless. If you don't have a career, a sailboat, a nice summer home, you're nothing. You're just a schmuck, a working stiff, pathetic. You're nobody. And so they're brought up thinking that way, and how can they? I mean, I should say it's incredibly difficult to break out of that kind of brainwashing, and just perpetuates itself until things get destabilized enough that the royal family is beheaded or taken to a house and mass murdered, like Tsar Nicholas, and the French royals, and God knows what's going to happen to these billionaire assholes, although they have much more power at their disposal than any monarchs ever did. Maybe we have more power too. Maybe it's like, but the way we're acting like chickens with our heads cut off in the face of genocide is very disheartening. I mean, we're trying. We're at least running around and not just kind of, being pretty much complacent in the face of 75 years of colonization and occupation of Palestine, not to mention so many other things that are going on. Like the US military being exempt from climate, any kind of climate treaties when it's the biggest greenhouse emitter on the planet. I mean, it's absurd. And it just goes under the radar. And I went to a talk last night with Abby Martin and Mike Preisner, who were talking about making a movie, a documentary about that specifically. Just the way the military destroys land and water and habitats, both directly and through heavy metal pollution and other things. And also directly, I guess, through carbon emissions or greenhouse gas emissions in general. Not to mention they're used to prop up a system that also is just a shameless emitter of all kinds of shit. So we're trying. And maybe it's adorable. Maybe it's wasted effort. But in the end, what are my choices? I can treat this like my home, cherish it, enjoy it, do what I can for it. Not completely kill yourself necessarily. But, I mean, some people do. For some people, that's their choice. That's their jam. They don't feel like they have a choice. They would feel like moral monsters if they didn't kill themselves. And sometimes I feel like a moral monster for not killing myself more. But for whatever reason, for better or worse, I can get over it and I can enjoy myself too. And pursue this non-duality thing, even though if I talk to a lot of activists very straightforwardly about this, and the time I spend on it, and the energy I spend on it, they might think I'm a moral monster. And that's okay. Everybody has opinions, and at the end of the day, we have to live with ourselves as best we can. But yeah, just read a quote by Van Gogh when he talked about being an absolute nobody, but feeling this irresistible pull toward the beauty and the art that he felt called to do. And who is anyone to say he should have done that? he should have joined an army or put his body on a railroad track to try to stop some kind of injustice. I think it takes all different kinds of people to make this place worth living. And cultivating talents isn't necessarily derelict in the face of the myriad injustices, perceived injustices in this world. So, yeah. But yeah, so if somebody thinks earnestness is adorable, the ayahuasca told me following earnest impulses closes loops. It's something elegant, it's something inherently good. And maybe that was another way the universe just fucks with you. Tells you what it wants you to hear or what you think you want to hear. Maybe like there really are alien abductions and it's another way to fuck with us. Maybe we're the only planet with this kind of life in the universe. And it's like, it's like just like the biggest cage you can imagine, all the way out to the cosmic microwave background. And we just think this is our big cage. And there's an infinite number of other universes. And maybe I'll literally never know. Maybe whatever this little avatar is will maybe like Lisa said, there's a soul character that sort of hops from life to life. That's just it's just a meta character. It's still a character. That might explain past lives and stuff like that. But man, 8 billion? And it keeps growing? Like, are the souls, is there I guess if it's infinite, there could be an infinite number of characters. Yeah, there's some drive to just cogitate, put this over and over and over in my head. Things that I'll probably never know and might not be useful to know. Might not make any difference. Might be the same. The same thing anyway, which is try to follow those earnest loops, try to flow with whatever corner of the universe you end up in. Of course, mine is extremely lucky, as I've said many times, and it's easy to feel guilty for that. But a lot of people who had the luxury to follow impulses like this were privileged. And it's not like it's a reward for good behavior. It just happens that way, and then it just makes it easier because you're not just in this grind of trying to survive, You can poke your head up and look around. You have the time, you have the freedom, you have the comfort, the nutrition to live a reasonably long life, and put pen or paintbrush to paper or think deeply about things, experiment. But yeah, if I'm a chump, I can be a sullen, resentful chump, or I can be a relatively happy, grateful chump. Even if my character is to be an asshole, like, you slip into the stream as well as you can and you find yourself suddenly finding behavior acceptable that you didn't before. And you don't know. Maybe, are you being an asshole? Is this what it's like to be an asshole? Is that how they justify themselves? Or, and again, there's also, I'm sure there are layers to it. Like, look like an asshole, look like a good person, look like an asshole, but actually, it's not simple assholery. There's, like a Zen master, whacking somebody with a stick. I mean, who knows? Maybe that's not necessarily the best thing to do, even for a Zen master, but it might be what somebody needs at a given time, genuinely. So, given all that, totally so little information about what's what, just try to slip into the stream as well as you can and enjoy the ride as much as you can. I guess, I mean, it seemed like it was always coming down to this, but you put it into actual practice and it feels quite different. It's very scary. You really just lose your grip. You realize there's no grip. There's nothing to grip. And it doesn't necessarily fit any of the images you thought it might look like, or and the tendency to second guess, third guess. As I said, I've tried to try to minimize that for the rest of the calendar year. And when I do second guess, sort of like, hello, second guessing, not fight it, just not latch onto it, you know, let it. It's wild. My stomach feels really light lately, like there's nothing there. My whole body can feel like that. It's just a breeze could blow right through it. And I'm, trying to just, okay, that's what's happening. If I disappeared completely and that's what's happening. I mean, I guess, whatever you fear might happen, you just don't have any control over. So you let go of it. And it feels like you're, just free falling into nothing. Maybe the biggest chumps are the ones who free fall into nothing. But I don't know. Tried other things. And I'm done with them, so maybe I'm a rat in a maze chasing my next cheese, but what else are you going to do? Just sit down and refuse to play? I mean, you can't even assume there's some benevolent force in the end, because benevolent, it's kind of a human relative concept. Maybe it just entirely is what it entirely is. The end. And is that so bad? One must imagine Sisyphus happy, but at least it's not the same rock every day, It's we get interesting views along the way. Interesting, lovely people and places until they're destroyed. But there is a sense that the fear that the very real fear of destruction, of death, of separation makes existence all the more precious and quickened. And when you don't properly appreciate it, then there's regret, which spurs you to try to learn to appreciate it. So maybe I'm a chump. Can I live with that? Yeah, chump's a relative concept too. But it could be not the infinite, but some 50,000 year advanced species that are not infinite, that are just bored messing with us. That's true. But then what's superior to them? Still doesn't answer the question of what is the ultimate, because maybe the ultimate is created them too. Yeah, it's an absolute mystery. I guess it's kind of fun to live in an absolute mystery. I guess I know that there's no reason to assume intent one way or the other. Just follow your bliss, which is the smoothest path through the universe. See what the fuck happens, or don't. Up to you. Try to be kind. Even, it's not about policing thoughts, but examining thoughts. Like I had kind of an uncharitable thought about somebody last night. Um, and a part of me was like, shove off. I can think my thoughts. Another part was like, sure, absolutely you can, but where do you think that thought came from? And then there was kind of a, re-examination of that, where, there's no God, there's no hell, there's nobody's listening, nobody's watching. Maybe they are, whatever, but either way, I'm 8 billion. I don't think anyone really cares that much. But within my own mind, even there, like, even if it's an audience of one, I can be kinder. And ultimately, it feels better to be kinder. Even if there's a little resistance, a little hitch, a little like, no, don't show them your belly. Don't be one of those goody goodies. Can't people take a joke? That's just conditioning. Kindness. It seems right to orient toward that. So we live in a universe where conditioning yanks us in one direction, and what I believe or assume is intuition tries to take us back in the other direction. And maybe in the end, there's no direction at all. It's all just. But you can do your best to orient toward joy, peace, kindness, without being too much of a, sanctimonious pain in the ass. So yeah, that's what I got for today.